Welcome golfers. Now, have you ever wondered why your strike and your distance is a bit inconsistent? Today, we're going to focus on the three key spine movements in the golf swing and specifically in the backswing and how all those blended together can improve the two fundamentals in your golf swing, better strike and more distance. So let's first talk about what the spine movements are that we are using in the golf swing and identify each of those three. So first one would be the forward bending or the standing up motion within the golf swing. Now, bearing in mind we always start slightly bent forward, and this angle is forever changing through the golf swing. We've also got the lateral side bend or side tilt, however you want to describe it, to the golf swing, bending to the left and bending to the right. You've also then got the rotational element to this as well. So all of these things, all those three movements about all six directions are happening continuously throughout the golf swing. And in today's video, we're going to talk in particular, like I said, about the backswing and how we blend these three together. So I'm just going to talk on the reference of a right-handed golfer for ease of conversation here. And every single golfer, okay, we start slightly bent forward. And every single golfer to the top of the backswing is bending to the left as they're starting to rotate, as the spine starts to gain some sort of extension from its flexed position. So you won't see many spines get themselves into an over extended position. So we're not talking about sort of overextension here of the spine, but the spine on the way back is continuously moving out of its forward flexion and adding extension to blend those three movements together. Think of it as like a 1-to-1 ratio of how much we turn and how much we side bend and how much we extend all need to happen at the same time or blend in together the same amount for us to be able to keep a stable axis, a stable turn into the backswing, which ultimately then directly influences strike and how we can then start to get to the top of backswing to influence the distance as well, okay? So I'm now going to run you through some checkpoints that you could use yourself in your own golf swing to understand and monitor which one of these you're either potentially doing too much of or not doing enough of and you need to add in. Okay, so we're going to start by using a reference of when we're in our posture. Imagine there is a box around your head, okay? Now, I will say this, the head in the golf swing is never staying still. It is constantly moving just like the spine in terms of its turns, its tilts and its extensions, all right? But a better word I'd like to use and get people to understand is it's stable, okay? We're not seeing golfers' heads move drastically side to side, up and down within the golf swing and in the best ball strikers in the world. There is somewhat of a stability around where that head is, and then it links to then how the spine is moving, okay? So we're gonna start there. Let's imagine we've got a box around my head, okay? Now, for example, if you just turn in this position, okay, so I'm flexed forward, I am just going to rotate now, okay, and do nothing else. If I stay bent forward and I rotate, you can see how my head has moved a long way from where it started, okay? So these sort of things are going to slowly start to influence the club coming into the ground too early and also shift in the direction of the swing that the club's going to come into as well from this angle. So for me to keep that centered, I need to add some more of the other pieces in. So the left bend and the slight extension. So if I do that same thing again, I just move off of the golf ball, okay? If I now start to add some left bend of the spine and I just start to add some slight extension piece to this, you'll see my head has pretty much come back to where it was. So it's stable now, okay? So I blended those three movements in to get me back to a stable position over the golf ball, which ultimately is going to help me strike the ground in the right place more often, okay? So very simply put there, if you are moving off of the golf ball in the backswing, okay, you've got too much rotation and not enough bend to the left and extension blended into those three movements to keep you stable, okay? So it's a great checkpoint. Now you could use this the other way as well, right? You could say, let's say your head goes towards target, okay, here. So that would be someone who is displaying too much bend to the left and hasn't got enough rotation. So I start to add that rotation piece, and all of a sudden I'm back into that nice stable position over the center of the axis there. Okay, so some really easy checkpoints you can help you understand what's going on there, where the head's going, and what actually you need more of or less of within your movement. Now we're just going to do one down the line as well, and we can also use the height of the head here as well as an easy reference. Like I said, we've not just got side to side here, we've also got the up and down side of things. Okay, so for example, if you're turning away in your backswing and your head is coming up or lifting up out of this square, okay, this box, we haven't got enough bend to the left in the spine to be able to keep us in our inclination and on that stable axis to the ground. Okay, we have simply stood up too much, so we extended too much or too quickly. Okay, think about that 1-to-1 ratio. We stood up too quickly into that backswing phase. So we're not looking to not have that extension, but if you're that golfer, you are potentially going to need more of a left bend of the shoulder to keep you then at the same sort of height. Again, using the word stability rather than dead still. Okay, and obviously the flip reverse would be true if the head is moving towards. We could arguably say for this golfer that if the head goes down, they are actually bending forward too much. It may be excessively more, and probably from a face-on point of view, you're going to see this head sort of down and forward and away at this angle as well. So it's moved off of, and it's also moved to the floor in terms of a lower center. Okay, so then from there, this golfer is going to need to make sure they add some more extension, and you're going to see that start to come back in its box where it started. Okay, so it's a very easy and clear system of where you can start to understand what's going on there at a backswing level, what causes certain things. Okay, so where the head starts to move, how the spine's moving, and you can quite quickly directly link this to your quality of strike. So again, the common one I would see on a daily basis is where people would just turn too much bent forward. They haven't got that extension piece, and the center moves too far off of the golf ball here, and ultimately going to start hitting the ground very, very early. Okay, the other one would also be very common. You start to see the head move a little bit towards target too much like this. So again, just extended too quickly. That actually needs a little bit more rotation, and now they're back into a reasonable position. So it's not about saying this is how you do this is what goes on. What I really want to give you guys an understanding of is those three movements, how all three of them are blended in to the backswing, and the best players in the world demonstrate all of these characteristics. There's going to be different variances in each of them depending on what shot they're trying to play, what's going on. So we're going to start to talk about that next, and how these three movements can start to influence the power of the golf stroke, and where again you might be able to pick up on some things to be able to help you improve your distance. So now let's talk about some real world examples of essentially two ends of the spectrum here. Okay, so where you're going to create the softest amount of power versus the most amount of power, right? And I'm going to start with an analogy here, and one to think about. And I'm going to give you guys the example of an axeman, someone chopping wood. Okay, so if I wanted to create the most amount of power in that direction, okay, I'm going to be lifting or extending as much as I possibly could, okay, to be able to then generate power back down in that direction. Okay, again, I'm going to be extending to a point the most to be able to then flex forward the most and create the most amount of power. I wouldn't be doing it in a way where I'm going to be bent forward and stay flex forward and just use the arms. You can see range of motion is much more limited through the arms. Okay, so I can only go to about here, flex forward. If I now start to extend, all of a sudden I've got the hands obviously traveled further, okay, and I've got more range of motion through where the arms and how they can start to swing now again to be able to generate more speed. Okay, so we could, I think, quite broadly say if you wanted to swing the club as slow as possible, you would stay flex forward and the shortest amount of motion. And if you wanted to hit the ball as far as possible, we can argue that you're going to start to want to extend the most and lift the most to generate more speed and power on the way down. And the two examples that always come to my head when looking at this would be the classic Seve sort of pose chip shot, where he's really flexed forward, arms are bent, he's over the ball, and play, you know, his short game wizard, all these nice little chip shots that he played, really flex forward and soft, okay? Because the body at the end of the shape, like I said, is going to create the least amount of speed. And then you've got the other end of the spectrum with a guy that is obviously tearing the golf industry apart right now, Mr. Scotty Scheffler, and you look at his golf swing and how he would arguably be at the most extended of the spine angle whilst maintaining his tilt to the ground, and obviously generates an incredible amount of speed and power. And obviously you could look at the long drive guys there as a reference to that as well. Okay, so if you feel that you are lacking some speed in your golf swing, check what's going on there in the camera. Use the camera to check what's going on with the head position. Are you sort of staying down, bent forward for too long? Okay, ultimately restricting the arm swing, okay, not being able to generate the speed that you want. And actually, rather than trying to hit the ball harder, have we got some access to make sure that you're adding some extension here to the spine, which is ultimately going to help you get the club head to travel further. And on that note as well, we can start to link the arm swing and the torso into this as well. Of, you know, if I bent forward, okay, and I stay bent forward into the golf swing, it really restricts my arm swing here. I can't swing the arms much further. So there's a couple of things you're going to see from golfers here, okay, when they're restricted in some sort of movement. You're going to see some crazy lifts of the arms to try and generate some length to the club head so we can get access to more speed, okay? So just a bit of an intuitive kind of thing you see golfers do, or they obviously just stay bent forward in this shape and can't generate any speed. And obviously from a face-on point of view here as well, we're really sacrificing low point because where the club wants to hit the ground now, so we're really sacrificing the strike and the distance. Now, if I just go into that same position there again, where I'm just going to stay flexed forward, okay, so again, arm swing is really short. But if I now just start to add that extension, okay, you see how my arms start to gain some freedom. So I've now gained access for this left shoulder to start to travel further, which means hands and arms can start to travel further. All right, so now I've lengthened out that backswing quite easily from here. Again, I can't really swing my arms much further than this. I now start to go in that shape. Well, now I've unlocked some freedom around that left shoulder for the arm swing. So you can really see how that influences what range of movement you've got. And again, if you're a golfer that finds yourself top of backswing with the arms come really disconnected, I would say that one of those three movements of the spine is not quite blended in, or the three movements aren't blended in together. Once you start to blend those together, you start to create this incredible stable axis, and also, like I said, gain much more access to allow the club to travel further. So you're going to generate more speed without you necessarily having to hit it harder or swing more aggressively at the golf ball. So just to recap then, guys, there is three main movements of the spine in the golf swing, and they're all happening at the same time. You've got the flexion and extension, the lateral bends, and then the rotations within that. Now, how you can then start to understand what you do well or need to do more of, set up a camera, film yourself, okay, start to make some swings, box in your head and have a look at what starts to go on, what you're seeing. You'll start to then be able to piece that system together and understand what you need more of or less of, and directly link it back to the quality of strike, the distance or the direction of the golf ball, and how each one of those movements can influence that. And you really start to understand what you need more of as an individual, rather than just this is how we do it. Look at yourselves individually, take time to film it, understand what you need more of. And again, the two things you're really looking out for is that from face on, head stays stable within its box, okay? So you ensure you're turning around a much more of a centered axis, okay? And then from down the line, you're looking more from the, again, in that box, heights and forwards and backwards versions of that, okay? And what that will mean you're doing if you're keeping it stable is that you're able to turn your shoulders around 90 degrees, or a 90-degree angle to your spine, okay? So your shoulders stay on that axis around the center of the spine, like so, okay? Again, any deviations to this, you're gonna start to see your head move out of the box, all right? So understanding those three movements, how they blend together, can really help you influence your strike and your distance. Okay guys, so give that a go. Let me know how you get on. Let me know what you discover. Drop me a comment if there's anything you need help with. I'm more than happy to help analyze those movements for you. And if you like the content, please like, subscribe, share. It's greatly appreciated, and it helps me create more content to help you guys improve your golf. See you soon.